So I imagine as HR, we all here, we want to engage the next generation. So let's create a mentorship program. We're not going to do that. We're going to unmentor things. We heard from a few speakers before, tapping into disruptors, going for coffee chats, finding a sponsor. I didn't pay those previous speakers. They're all here because we need to unmentor mentorship. Because it all comes down to access to people. No matter how great your idea is, if you don't have access to the right person, it doesn't matter, because your idea won't get implemented. So all those people in your organization that might have great ideas, they're not going to get tapped into. Think about diversity. Diversity matters. There's a lot of great talent. Think about an LGBT employee that might be in a team or a department or an office that doesn't have an LGBT leader. If they don't have access to the right types of people to mentor them or to have a conversation, they'll probably leave. Or that person that might have started in a role that they didn't exactly love at the start, but it was a start. How do they actually go and have conversations with other people to discover and unmentor and have those new conversations to know that they don't have to leave the company to find something else that might be interesting? And on the other hand, you have leaders, all these directors and VPs and C-level executives trying to figure out what they're going to do with the next generation. And when we asked them about it, they didn't talk about mentorship programs. When we asked them about how they were connecting with the next generation, they all talked about coffee. Some talked about beer, but mostly they talked about coffee. And it was something as simple as coffee chats that actually disguised this really magical thing that we talked about as tapping into disruptors and having those coffee chats. Because coffee doesn't equal mentorship. So often people think mentor is this Yoda character that sits on the back of all of your employees and coaches you to make the best decisions. It's not that. Coffee chats are micro-learning experiences where you can actually learn and share. And we need to take a learning from online dating. There's no online marriage websites that have made any money. Online dating sites are being sold for $500 million. There's a reason there aren't any great online mentorship programs, because we got to do what online dating does and unmentor. Break things into those bite-sized conversations where in real time we can go have those conversations with the people in the organization that we're actually interested in. We got to take things away from those 6-month marriages where we think that, hey, here's a mentor, stick with each other for 6 months, and find ways just to have conversations. Because if you think about an organization and you were to go out to maybe all your employees, and you were to say to them, who wants to have a mentor? You probably have done that already, and there's a lot of crickets. But what actually happens if you go into coffee, everyone gets involved because it gives leaders an opportunity to pose questions and learn about this next generation as much as the next generation can actually learn from these leaders. But beyond these leaders, we've also broken down the way that people start sharing and learning. It's no longer one-on-one, it's actually groups. We launched group chats, and the biggest learnings actually came from the people in the groups and not just the mentor. Suddenly it changes, and when you start shaking up this classic form, the people that say that they're too busy because they're always getting requests, they're always getting bombarded, I'm too busy for mentorship, there's actually a way where you could pool all those people together and start thinking about how, instead of answering the same question over and over again with the same person or a new mentor every time, they actually pool them together and have these group conversations. Which again, if we unmentor, you're not stuck in that confinement that doesn't bring the same type of learning that ultimately we're trying to achieve through something like mentorship. And mentorship doesn't just have to happen in the organization. I don't know how many of you have went onto campus and done booths or info sessions, but unmentoring means going onto campus and going into the community and actually posing problems and questions with people in real time and having conversations with your talent pipeline. And not restricting people to one industry. Nobody knows what industry they actually want to be into. Unmentoring, go and talk to different people in different industries, whether it's tech or customer service or sales, and in real time have those conversations, and the mentorship outcomes will be that much more. And for all those employees that are throwing their papers out of the door because they're done with their job and they want to go find something that they're more passionate about, when you enable a culture to go have those micro conversations, they'll discover that a lot of the opportunity they think is outside of their company actually happens inside their company. And they stop having the expectations that the bullseye job is just this dream job that they get in the first phase, but they actually need to go and have more conversations and build the foundation for their career through multiple different sponsors or coffee chats. And that they don't have to rely on HR to be Cupid. I don't know how many of you have set up a blind date, but usually they don't work. I don't know why people think it's going to work with mentorship. We don't need to be Cupid. We need to allow people to actually be empowered to have those conversations and learn from each other. And out of all of that, what's interesting when you disguise mentorship with things like coffee and allow people to go out is that there'll be way more mentorship outcomes because it hasn't got confusing with the weird expectations that we would have if you made your friends go on a 6-month date. So try out Unmentorship.